Hello everyone and welcome to another Pyro Gaming video. Bungie recently published a preview of some upcoming sandbox changes in Shadowkeep. As is with every season, there will be some nerfs and there will be some buffs. Some weapons that we currently use, we won't use next season, and some weapons that we don't use right now will be great next season. And that's what we're going to focus on in this video. Now, I'd like to keep this video short and to the point, so without further ado, here are 10 weapons in no particular order that I believe are going to be very strong next season. Now, I'm going to start with Breakneck. As it stands right now, Breakneck is a so-so weapon. But next season, when auto rifles get a 25 to 30% buff depending on the enemy rank, it's going to be pretty good. Add to that the fact that Breakneck comes with Rampage and its special perk speeds up the rate of fire, meaning you have a higher DPS potential, and this weapon should be one that can counter the nerfs to minor enemy damage that are coming next season. This thing is actually going to be pretty valuable. I'm willing to bet money on it. Next up, I have IZANAGI'S Burden. This exotic sniper rifle has the ability to compress its 4-round magazine down to one single round that does 4 times damage. When you combine that with the IZANAGI'S Burden Catalyst, which gives you, I believe, a 20% damage increase on honed edge, you have a weapon that can do a ton of damage with a single trigger pull. Now, in Shadowkeep, sniper rifles as a whole will be getting a 20% damage buff to non-minors. That means majors and ultras, bosses, and things like that. As a result of this 20% damage buff, things like the IZANAGI'S Burden Catalyst and the Whisper of the Worm Catalyst will be getting a slight nerf, but I feel like they're going to even out to basically what it is now. Now, when you consider all of that information and combine it with the upcoming nerfs to auto-reload, i.e. Well with Lunafactions and Rally Barricade from a Titan, IZANAGI'S Burden could potentially be a DPS monster because you could just reload straight into honed edge and do 5 times damage with the catalyst active. And it's really easy to do too. Basically, all you need to do is hold down the reload button while you shoot, and then your character does the rest. But considering all this, I think IZANAGI'S is going to be a very valuable weapon next season, and I'm looking forward to playing with it. Next up, I'm going to group 3 grenade launchers together and count it as one entry because they're basically interchangeable. The ACANTHA-D XK8434 grenade launcher is essentially an ARC Swarm of the Raven. And in case you don't know how to get this, you get it from a random drop from defeating one of the Forge saboteurs roaming in patrol or finishing a Forge successfully. Now, my next one is actually a Year 1 weapon, but it is essentially going to be a Solar Swarm of the Raven. This one will probably be the easiest one to get since most of you can just pull it out of your collection since it's a fixed roll Year 1 weapon. And the last one is going to be the Outrageous Fortune. Now, this is another essentially Solar Swarm of the Raven. Now, why do I keep saying that? Well, because in Shadowkeep, Tractor Cannon's debuff is going to get a bit of a nerf. As it stands right now, Tractor Cannon's debuff allows you to do 50% more void damage or 30% more arc or solar damage. In Shadowkeep, it's going to be just 30% damage debuff across the board regardless of the element. So that is the only reason that Swarm of the Raven beat Outrageous Fortune this season, is because Swarm of the Raven is 50% damage debuff with Tractor, whereas Solar is going to be 30%. Next season, doesn't matter what the element, they're all going to get a 30% damage debuff regardless of the source. Now, Bungie has already confirmed that they will not be nerfing grenade launchers. So, with Swarm of the Raven being the DPS king right now, granted that is with auto reload, we'll have to wait and see if the enhanced reload that we get from these sources next season isn't going to be too bad. But assuming it's not, these are still going to be some really high DPS potential weapons. So that being said, it's a lot easier to go farm the Vanguard or the Forges than it is to farm Iron Banner, which is only around once a month. And it's probably a lot less toxic as well. So that's why these are on the list. I think that they're going to be really valuable next season. Next up, I have HUCKLEBERRY, the exotic submachine gun. With the catalyst on this thing, it is incredibly good. It has Rampage, it has auto reload on kills. I mean, it's just fantastic. Next season, HUCKLEBERRY will be getting a 10% PvE damage buff. Now, that's pretty big considering this thing has Rampage and considering that the changes to crit multipliers on minor enemies are going to take place next season as well. So Rampage is going to be really strong to have. Things like Rampage, Kill Clip, Swashbuckler, Multi-Kill Clip, anything that gives you a damage bonus in your primary is going to be really valuable. Now, you take that with this, and you also have auto reload Like, you can fire this thing for months and not reload it. I really do believe that Huckleberry will be an ad clear monster in Shadowkeep. Next up, we have Outbreak Perfected. Honestly, one of the best all-around weapons that we've ever had in Destiny 1 or 2. This thing is going to be insanely good for ad clear with the changes that are coming to minor enemies, as well as really good for boss damage, because without auto reload, you can still stack damage, and as long as you're not all reloading at the exact same time, you still have teammates stacking nanites on a boss, and whenever you're done reloading, you're just picking up right back where you left off. I think that this thing is going to be one of the most valuable weapons in all of Shadowkeep. I really and truly do. If you don't have Outbreak Perfected and you don't have the Catalyst fully upgraded, oh man, you need to get on that, because this thing is an absolute monster and it's just going to get even better next season. I guarantee it. And another weapon that's going to be similar to Outbreak Prime is Polaris Lance. This is going to be another one of those that could be potentially really good for boss damage, as well as being really good for ad clear. Scout rifles as a whole next season will get an 18 to 36% damage buff depending on enemy rank. Now, the cool thing about Polaris Lance is you do a little bit of extra damage. If you land 4 consecutive precision shots, you get the 5th shot that's an explosive round. And in addition to that, with the Catalyst, you also get Dragonfly, which is going to be even better for ad clear. But the real selling point for this Scout Rifle for next season is the fact that you never have to reload it as long as you can hit your crits. This thing's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to trying it out. I'm a huge fan of Scout Rifles, and I hope that they finally get their moment in the sandbox spotlight. And you know what? While we're talking about Scout Rifles, let's go ahead and throw the Oxygen SR3 on there too. This thing has the potential to be really fun. It's got a unique perk. I think it's going to be good for ad clear at minimum next season. I don't see this being very good for bosses, but minors and majors, definitely. Next up, I'm going to throw Sunshot on this list because it is a workhorse primary weapon. With the changes coming to minor enemies, this is going to be really valuable. You kill one of them, it's going to cause them to explode, it'll soften up the other ones around you, and you just go from there. This thing has the potential to be just phenomenal at ad clear. Its magazine is getting bumped up to 12 rounds, which is something that honestly should have been shipped with when Destiny 2 came out. I don't know why they would only give this 8 rounds. But another really good thing about Sunshot is one of its intrinsic perks is it has explosive rounds. And explosive rounds kind of cuts back on the damage drop-off that you have from, range nerfs. And hand cannons are getting a range nerf next season. It's not a big one, it seems like, but it's still probably going to be pretty noticeable. So having explosive rounds on this hand cannon will get you just a little bit more out of it than a hand cannon that doesn't have it. All around, I'm really excited to have Sunshot back as my main primary like Destiny 2 Year 1 again. Next up, I have another potential boss DPS machine. Rocket launchers are pretty strong right now. I haven't seen anything about them changing, but what makes Truth so appealing is whenever you have double scavenger perks or double reserve perks on your armor rather, you can carry 8 rounds with this rocket launcher. Now, when you consider the fact that Truth has a 3-round magazine, that is only 2 reloads for you to get 8 full rockets off and into a boss. And keep in mind, this thing also has very aggressive tracking, so they're going to hit. With the changes coming to auto reload, you want to cut back on the amount of times that you need to reload as a whole, and Truth will definitely do that. I can see this being very good. Next up, I have a bit of a wild card here, Graviton Lance. Now, as it stands right now, Graviton Lance is bleh. Like, don't even bother picking it up. It's whatever. But next season, this thing is getting a 30% damage buff. That is significant, to say the least. With the changes coming to ads, I feel like I've said that a lot, you guys should know. But with the changes coming to minors and stuff, this could potentially be insanely good. So that's why it's on this list, and I will definitely be trying it out. And now we arrive at the end. My last weapon that is probably going to be really strong next season, Whisper of the Worm. Now, this should go without saying. With the changes to auto reloads coming next season, Whisper does not give a fuck about your Rally Barricade. Whisper does not give a fuck about your Lunafaction Rift. Whisper does not need to reload, therefore Whisper does not care, okay? Whisper is going to be probably the DPS king again next season. Now, there are a few variables to consider. As I said earlier, sniper rifles as a whole will get a 20% damage buff, but that comes at the expense of nerfing the catalysts that allow you to do extra damage. So depending on how much they nerf Whisper Breathing, it could be kind of bad for Whisper, but I think Whisper's DPS potential, even without the Catalyst, makes it so that this is a pretty safe bet. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Depending on what type of raid boss we have in Garden of Salvation, Whisper is probably going to be the go-to. This thing is just super powerful, super strong, and super consistent. It is a workhorse power weapon, and it's about to be back in that top spot. I guarantee it. And there you have it, guys. Those are the 10 weapons that are all over my radar right now leading into Shadowkeep. I cannot wait to try these things out, and I really believe that they're going to be super strong. Drop a comment in the box below. Let me know which weapon you're looking forward to trying out, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. If you enjoyed this one, click like. If you're new to the channel, click subscribe, and if you're already subscribed, I fucking love you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and take care.